Hello, believers, non-believers, and everyone in between. You're listening to Stories with Sapphire. I am Sapphire Sandalo. Now get cozy and open your mind because it's story time. Welcome to the final episode of Season 5. There will still be bonus episodes while the show is on a brief break, so make sure to continue to tune in. If you like what you hear and would like to support this independently run show, head over to patreon.com/storieswithsapphire to learn more. This podcast is so much more than just a paranormal podcast to me. It is a love letter to my Filipino roots. It is a resource for those looking for answers. It is a real-time documentation of my spiritual journey. And it is a community that has connected me with people who have, in all sincerity, changed my life. Micah Yanessa from Season 1 recently connected me with Rannie AuGoGo, a psychic medium, initiated priestess, spirit worker, healer, and creepy special effects content creator. Even before messaging Rannie on Instagram, I knew that this connection was ancestrally guided. I haven't known her very long, and yet she has been instrumental in several recent spiritual breakthroughs. In this episode, Rannie recounts how she was initiated into this work through possession and the many miracles she's been blessed with, and I share what it was like to witness Rannie's power firsthand.
So you want me to do that now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Rannie AuGoGo, and I am from Los Angeles, California. I work with spirits every day. I'm an initiated priestess, so a lot of very interesting things happen for me daily.
I usually censor my podcast, but it felt disrespectful to restrict Rannie's colorful vocabulary when she had been so open and honest with me. So if that bothers you, this is your heads up.
So my initiation started actually through spirit. I wasn't trying to do this shit back in the day. I was very comfortable with just doing special effects and making weird videos, but I ended up being possessed by spirits.
It got kind of skipped.
We kept having major connectivity issues and needed to restart the
Can you hear me
interview
now?
several times.
Usually when stuff like this happens for me, I'm like, okay, communication God, here's some tobacco. Let's have some clear communication. And then it just magically starts working. So
I mean, you sound clear right now, but who knows?
I heard the offering has been accepted.
Back to Rannie's possessions.
Yeah, I mean, it was fucking crazy. It was pretty wild. So where do I begin? It started, let me talk about my beginnings. I used to always hear and see spirits, and I didn't want to have anything to do with that. I used to drink a lot to kind of numb that, but ever since I was a kid, I could hear, see spirits, and every now and then a spirit would jump in me and like relay a message to someone, and it always fucking freaked me out. As a kid, I was a very old soul, so I was very angry all the fucking time. I would see things like, one particular spirit I used to see a lot was a woman who would always wear this veil over her face, and she would always just stand there and like watch me, and it would always scare the crap out of me, and I would just try to cover myself with a blanket, or when I got older I would just talk on the phone with friends like till late, until I would fall asleep because I was just fucking scared. I'd always see things in the dark especially. But yeah, that was my life before. And then when I went to New Orleans, for some reason, when I started hearing these spirits and letting these spirits talk through me, and for some reason, I was very okay with it, as opposed to before I was really afraid. I would just try to shut it down, whatever. If you were to watch Black Tea and Bourbon, you would see that I have this completely different accent, and actually watching it now, I could tell that I was channeling multiple entities.
Black Tea and Bourbon is a docu-series on Rannie's YouTube channel, Ransig, where she documents her time in New Orleans. The link is in the show notes for you to watch later, and I highly recommend it.
There was this guy, and he had like tattoos all over his face, and he was kind of like pushing like into our space. And it was just me and my partner at the time, and I just felt this very powerful presence. And this is so not like me, but I felt that presence, and it just looked at this guy and was like, "Young man, you need to sit down." And the guy looked at me, and he just started crying. And I put my hand on his shoulder, and I'm like, "Is there something you need to tell me?" But with this accent, you know. And the guy says, "I killed a man." And it looked like he had like a wound on his head or something. It was really creepy. And the voice was like, "You most certainly did. Now go sit down and have something warm to drink." And the guy looks at me, and he's like, "Are you Jesus?" And then he just like goes inside of this gas station and then like sits down and is just like drinking or like having soup. And me and my partner are like, "What the fuck just happened?" And that voice was like, "Oh, he thinks I'm Jesus." And I was like, what is happening? Because while I was in New Orleans, it was almost like people thought it was local because I had this like accent, and I was just talking to people the way I would never talk to anyone. I would tell people good afternoon, good morning, and like talk about how kids these days are how always have their phones in their faces. It was fucking wild. And that was when I was like, whoa, I'm like letting spirits talk through me. And it wasn't even scary, because I'd had scarier instances before of spirits hopping in while I would be drunk at parties or whatever. And it always scared the crap out of me. And I would just like not want to have anything to do with it. But when I was in New Orleans, it was different. It was like a presence that was very like powerful, kind of scary, but almost godlike. And I was very comfortable with letting the spirit talk through me. But then when I was watching back at the footage, like it was multiple things. It's crazy. So when I'm channeling, it kind of feels like I'm not in my body. I don't know if you've ever done ketamine, but it's like being on ketamine where I'm not in my body, but something else is talking, and I can hear myself talking, and I know it's not me because I feel like I took a back seat. So that's what happens sometimes when I do channeling, like mediumship channeling, and allow spirit to talk through me. But that's usually the last. It's not usually my go-to when I channel, because it does take its toll on my body. And spirit has taught me that there are other ways that I can channel just by listening and then repeating what I hear. But sometimes spirits jump in, and that's why I'm sober, because actually when you drink, you lower your vibration, and that's when spirits that are a little naughty want to hop in and use you as a megaphone. So when I was in New Orleans, I was allowing it to happen, and then these spirits just so happened to come home with me. They made me clean my whole house, but it was really bizarre because when I was possessed, I was feeling nauseated, because actually when you let spirits ride you, or when you let spirits speak through you through possession, you feel sick. Your body it takes its toll on your body. So yeah, it was very interesting, because different deities came to me at different times and taught me some really crazy magical shit. And back then I thought I was going crazy, because I'm like, okay, like I thought I was going to go home and it was going to be like normal, but I literally felt like I was on acid for like 2 months. There were points where I was like, when is this insanity going to end? And it was like I was in a spiritual boot camp, because they were making me learn how to be mindful. They had I had to clean my whole house, like scrub all the walls down. For like 2 months, I was cleaning my house, and nothing would work unless I listened to these spirits. I used to joke that I was possessed by the spirit of Mary Poppins, because she got me sober. They got me to clean my house and to learn how to work with spirits. The possession, it was like, it feels like fucking like 50 years ago, but it was literally like just a couple years ago. I don't even know. I don't even know what time is anymore. Ever since I started working with spirit, I just kind of like go with the flow, and things just amazing things just keep happening. It's bizarre. I don't even know how to explain it to you. Yeah, I used to think I was really crazy until a lot of really amazing things started happening, like miracles. Well, when the possession was going on for a couple months, and that's when the miracles started happening. I wouldn't even call like the priestessing, initiated priestessing, where you like the schooling of it. That to me was just kind of a bullshit thing just to say that I was initiated. But to be honest with you, the real initiation happened before that. One thing was they wanted me to clean my house, right? So I had a journal, and I would have to write down every single thing because they were talking through me, but then I realized that was making me sick. So they would do more of an automatic writing thing, or like talk to me in my mind, and I would write things down. But they had me clean my house, and it took 2 whole months to clean my house. And I'm like, I need to go to work. I need to start fucking making money. I can't be just cleaning my house and not doing anything else but that. And Spirit's like, don't worry, money's coming to you. And I'm like, okay. And the next fucking day, in my mail, there was a check for like $3,800 just from some old job that said they didn't pay me the full amount. And I was like, oh, I guess I really don't have to work. I'll just keep doing what Spirit tells me. And that was just one instance where I was like, oh shit, like, this is pretty legit. They're really hooking me up just by cleaning my act up and cleaning my house. Another funny instance was they were trying to teach me to be mindful about how I eat. Like I said, it was like a spiritual boot camp. And they were telling me no watching TV while you're eating, because that was a habit of mine before. So my partner is like, well, I want to watch Stranger Things or whatever, and turns on the TV. Electricity goes out the whole side of the house, and I'm like, okay. And then they try to turn it on again. Electricity goes out. And like I said, they were like not joking. They wanted me to do specific things, and because so many great things were happening, I was just like, I was on board. I was like, holy shit, like this is amazing. There's one entity that one of my patron deities that I work with, he's actually the communication deity that I was talking about that I gave an offering to. His number is 333, and I found out my car, like someone stole the catalytic converter, and I just wanted to get rid of it. And the day that I was like, I need to get rid of this car because I got the registration bill in the mail, and I'm like, I don't want this car anymore. That day at 3:33, someone comes knocking at my door, and the woman's like, are you selling your car? And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was just laughing like, yes. And, it turned out this lady was trying to buy a car from someone down the street, and they sold it before she got to it. And, she basically bought the car, and she was like, how much do you want for it? I'm like, I don't know, $300. Just go ahead. And they gave me the money, and they took the car. So it was just like, I went from being someone who was super fucking anxious all the time to just not, I'm hardly ever anxious. I don't worry about shit because I know Spirit has my back.
Hearing how Rannie used to be an anxious mess like myself gave me hope that I can also learn how to remove my unwarranted fears. Even when our tech kept messing up and we had to restart, I was getting so nervous that Rannie would get annoyed, but she was so unbelievably chill.
I'm so sorry about this.
Yeah, no worries. I am cool as a cucumber.
And to do this type of work, you have to be that chill and level-headed. You have to have so much trust. And Rannie's total faith in the deities who speak to her has led her to the most miraculous events.
Oh man. Well, the what really, really big one that showed me that miracles are real and that what I was doing was very important is was sick. She had cancer. She had like a very... Can you hear me?
Oh, you're breaking up again.
I'm like, maybe I shouldn't tell this story. Is this a story that shouldn't be told?
Maybe.
The story continues after the break.
I'm like, maybe I shouldn't tell this story. Is this a story that...
Before the break, I was having more connection troubles with Rannie, right as she was about to share the biggest miracle that had ever happened to her. She decided to censor the name and was able to continue from there.
A family member was very sick with cancer, and basically, like, this deity came and told me to start giving them offerings. This deity, the symbol was a rooster/chicken. So this is in the beginning where I was like, okay, I'm kind of crazy listening to these things, but I'm going to just follow along. So one day they came down, because I was giving flower offerings and things, and one day they came down and told me to cut some potatoes. And this sounds like crazy people shit. But yeah, they told me to cut some potatoes and cut some lemons in half and bury it in my backyard. And I was just kind of like treating it like a science experiment. I'm like, okay, it's not going to hurt anything. So I cut these potatoes and these lemons, buried it in the backyard. And next thing you know, she's texting me and she's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I was trying to get rid of this laundry basket. She doesn't live anywhere like near farm stuff. So she tried to get rid of this laundry basket, and apparently someone pushed the laundry basket back against her door and put a live chicken in it. A live fucking chicken in this basket. And she took pictures of it, and I was like, oh, it's a really cute chicken. Like, it's this white chicken. I've never seen a chicken so cute before. But also I'm like, oh my God, like, this is like a chicken deity that's supposed to be a healer, and moments after I did this whole ritual to them, there's a chicken in this basket. So basically I was like, am I supposed to keep the chicken? I was gonna try to take the chicken. I was like, I don't want to sacrifice a chicken. But basically I heard from spirit that my prayer had been answered, that she's healed. And soon after that, it was almost like she never had the cancer. It was like it was just, I don't know, it's a miracle. I was just so happy, felt so blessed. Yeah, that was one of the first miracles of many that happened. The crazy thing is, people are like, wow, that's interesting, but not like, whoa, like that. They didn't correlate that with her healing, which to me was like, okay. There were a lot of times where there were really big miracles happening, and I noticed these crazy things that were related to the work that I was doing, and a lot of people were not correlating the two. And I learned through spirit that it's not necessarily my job to like take any credit for this stuff. I just do the work, and then miracles happen and really fantastic things happen, and I don't have to worry about money or anything because I get hooked up by doing this work, and I don't let anything worry me or stress me because I know that I'm doing the work of our Creator. Someone had stage 4 melanoma, and actually their mom just wanted me to do a fun reading. But when she told me about this, I heard from the healing deity that I work with to light a specific candle for them and do a clearing on her. And this was through Zoom. So I lit this candle, and the candle's going nuts. Like, it had beads wrapped around it, and the beads just kind of melted away, and it was just this huge flame. And I basically, when I do this work, I'm allowing spirit to work my hands. So I'm, clearing her throat, her body, and moving, like seeing like her blood moving or whatever. After that, I had to go through my own surgery, but after that I talked to the mom, and she said they went back to the doctor and it wasn't stage 4 anymore, it was stage 1, and they were able to remove it. So I was just like, oh shit. Like, that's pretty fucking fantastic, But they tell me that miracles are normal. I don't really choose who I heal. It's like people come to me when they need it, and I just do the work through spirit. But sometimes there are people who I don't work on because spirit says I shouldn't, or for whatever reason. Never really ask the reasoning behind what I do. I just do it because if I asked too many questions, I feel like I'd lose my fucking mind. I just basically do the work, and I trust that everything is going to be golden, you know?
After we stopped recording, Rannie told me that someone kept trying to interrupt our interview. It was an older man, someone who passed recently. He kept saying, "I'm here, I'm here." She said that he wanted me to know that he was proud of me and to not be a stranger. I immediately felt this blanket of warmth engulf me. I knew she had to have been talking about my grandpa. Then later that night, I had a dream that I will never forget. I was standing on the balcony of some outdoor mall, taking photos of my family. And as I was swiping through the photos, one caught my eye. Standing next to my grandma, staring right at the camera, was my grandpa, smiling at me. And I remember thinking, wow, I can't wait to wake up and tell my family. That was the very first time I dreamed about him since he passed. And believe me, I would lay in bed every single night asking for him to show up, and he never would. Maybe I wasn't ready to see him before. Even the way he appeared indirectly felt like he was easing me into this new form of communication. This was just the beginning of the changes Rannie set forth in my life. About a week or so later, Rannie had messaged me and said that she felt I could benefit from a reading and healing. It wasn't something she offered to everyone, but felt called to offer it to me. I was honored that she asked. So I went to her home the following week on the day of the next full moon. Her home, by the way, was the coolest house I'd ever seen. Every inch was filled with fun monster masks and creepy artwork, truly a horror fan's dream. I also got to meet her adorable corgi, Tupac Shakorgi. We sat at her dining table and got to know each other better before the reading. I am such a socially anxious person, so whenever I immediately vibe with somebody, it feels even more special. I felt I had met Rannie many lifetimes ago, and considering we share Cebuano heritage, I may not be too far off. I explained to her that even though I work in the paranormal and love ghost stories, I have always been afraid to truly open myself up to experiences, and my fears expand across all facets of my life. I end up stuck in uncomfortable situations because I'm afraid of speaking my truth. But the last couple of months have made me realize that I am finally ready to step up my spiritual game. I don't want to be so fearful of everything anymore. So Rannie explained what she thought would be the most beneficial for me and walked through the types of healing she was going to perform. Then we moved into her bedroom, which was just as cool as the rest of the house. She had so many beautifully decorated altars dedicated to different deities. The power and veneration in the room was palpable. I sat on a pillow while Rannie opened a circle, inviting the guardians of the 7 directions to come and protect us during the reading. Tupac began barking, but then barked more quietly after the circle was open. Apparently, that was something he did often. It was incredible. So the first thing Rannie did was bone throwing, which involved throwing a mixture of items that each represented different things onto a blanket and interpreting the way they landed. She was pouring the items from one bowl into another, and 3 items fell out. The first one was a wishbone, which she said represented my wishes that were about to come true. The second one was what looked like a tiny pelvic bone, which represented my connection to Source. The third item made Rannie chuckle. It was a small seashell that stood for my grandfather. We were already off to an interesting start. I won't be sharing the details of the rest of the reading because it was personal, but I will say that I was astounded by how much everything resonated with me. Everything we talked about at the table came up in the reading. I knew that I was in very good hands. Then came the clearing. I sat in a chair while Rannie's partner Sig drummed a hypnotic beat. Rannie moved her hands around my body as she cleared any energetic blockages I had. This was my first time receiving anything like this, so I didn't know what to expect, but I tried to relax and maintain an open mind. The two moments where I felt something inside me move was when she opened my heart space and my throat chakra. It was a very subtle sensation, but I definitely felt something. Maybe because those spaces had the most blockages to be moved. At the very end, she placed her hands on my shoulders, and I immediately started crying. I felt a huge emotional release. It was a really powerful experience that I can't effectively articulate. As I'm recording this episode, it's only been a little over a week since I met with Rannie, and so much shit has gone down. My husband and I opened escrow on the spooky haunted home of my dreams, and I was visited by a spirit in the middle of the night. But that is a story for another time. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Rannie and my ancestors guided me towards these events, and for that, I am endlessly grateful.
So I believe that a lot of people can tap into spiritual gifts, but everyone has their own gifts that are a lot more powerful. My work has been a cultivation of multiple lifetimes, and me doing this work now is just a remembering of past lives of working miracles and working with spirit. But I believe anyone can tap into their own gifts, whether it's the clair gifts like hearing spirit or working with spirit or seeing spirit. Everyone can tap into these gifts, and actually I would say the past 2 or 3 years, Spirit has told me that a lot of people are going to start awakening and having a lot more gifts. So that's why I started Magick AuGoGo, my courses online, to start helping people learn how to tap into their gifts in a practical way. They're free, so they're already online. I'm just doing the work.
If you are interested in living the most magical life you can live, then visit Rannie's YouTube channel, Ransig, to watch her video course, Magick AuGoGo. Rannie also offers pay-what-you-can sessions that you can book at her website, MagickAuGoGo.com. That's MagickAuGoGo.com. Link is in the show notes.